All right, and we're back. Had some technical difficulties there, and we lost Mr. Dash, I think, for the evening. Skype went rogue on him, so it's it's back to Dursa and Mr. Chad Graham. Um, so sorry about that. So you were just asking me off air, kind of while we were troubleshooting what the hell was going on, and still haven't figured it out. But what I think of Nuge being back. Um, yeah, that was kind of a something I guess that sort of got lost in everything else that happened was, you know, first free agent, acquisition, re-signing Nuge, and I've liked Nuge as a player ever since we drafted him. I was there at his first game, and I believe that was Ryan Smith's first game back. And Smitty went to the sin bin, and a lot happened that night. But that first game of his, I saw Chris Letang have Nuge all lined up, and he was going to deck him. And Nuge pulled a little bit of Wayne last minute. He saw him coming, sidestepped out of the way, and Letang kind of crashed into the board. So I knew we had a decent player there with good vision and a responsible center who also can play left wing, as we're finding out now a little later in his career. Guy possesses a lethally accurate wrist shot, um, and just a kind of a smart, steady um, hockey player that doesn't take stupid penalties and can basically play in just about any situation you want to put him in. And yeah, I'm glad that he might be the first Oiler that I can remember that's played, a career of significance from start to finish in Edmonton. It's a good thing.
I 100% agree with you. I think that Nuge coming back or staying as an Oiler is important. Now, that being said, we've focused a lot today on defensemen, defense, 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 defense. The problem with defense is that hockey is a five-man game. Six, I guess, technically. And bringing in Fogel is just an addition to having a strong, back-checking, amazing forward that is going to help. So having our forwards score goals is obviously important, but having our forwards also play a two-way game, that's today's NHL. And that's what I think Holland was really honing in on when he went through the free agency, went through the draft, went through the offseason. I was really impressed with how he went after guys that can produce, that Hyman's going to play with Connor, and I can't wait to see that. It's just going to be electric. But the fact that he brought in these great two-way players, to me, makes me happy for what's coming for our team.
Um, so you think Fogel was kind of on the radar for a while, seeing that today they re-signed him for 3 years at a 2.75 mil AAV?
I think Fogel's been on the radar for Holland for a while, yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta admit I haven't seen a lot of them, but I've watched some clips lately, and there's a pretty good snapshot there, and a guy that likes to go to the net and um, brings an edge and plays with the physicality side to him. And you can all watch that clip of him and Blake Coleman there from Tampa, you know, getting a penalty before the game starts, and you wonder if there's going to be more of that shit to come on now that Coleman's in Calgary, and you know, I'd be a fan of seeing that kind of stuff as a start to a Battle of Alberta. I don't know about you.
Yep, 100%. I think Fogel is probably he was a great pickup. I think Holland is a very smart GM. I'm excited we have him. He did a lot of great things, and I know that people aren't thinking they are. But like I said, Duncan Keith, come on, let's face facts. We literally have the veteran that we need right now to bring our young guns into the prime of their life and just be solid as solid. He is going to bring us there. Our goaltending, I hate to say this, I'm going to cause a lot of problems for your fans and your people that watch, but our goaltending is just effing fine. We have great goaltenders. We have other problem we'll get into later.
Yeah, I said this on our last show, but you never heard it, and you never heard of me doing my own show until today. So, um, the thing about Keith that I'm sort of looking forward to is Nurse is now going to have a veteran guy who's been through everything to bounce questions off of, and ask for advice and all that, from a guy that's been through it all and knows what it takes
Yeah.
to get it done. Um, and I think it's only going to benefit Darnell, and we saw Darnell take a giant leap forward last year. If he can go forward more, we've got a hell of a player. Like, the talk of re-signing him, what's it going to cost? I think it's in the $8 to $9 million dollar range, and based on what I've seen around the league, honestly, I don't have much of a problem with that. There's a hell of an athlete there, and you know, uh, I don't want to lose him. They're talking that it's just going to be a 4 year deal, so he kind of um, comes up sort of the same time as Connor, which is okay. But I'd rather see him locked up for a long time because I there's one thing on Twitter that if you want to get me upset is slander Darnell Nurse, because I just love the guy, and I think he's everything that you could ask for or want in a defenseman. He can play just about any way you ask him to, and you'll do just fine. He can cover up guys that might be struggling a little bit more on their defensive aspects of the game just because of the way he can skate. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really. I've never asked you really what you think of Nurse, but um, I guess now's the time.
Well, here's a fun fact. If you look at actually what Holland's done in the offseason and the guys he's brought in, he's literally left himself the room to get to sign Darnell. He's not an idiot. He's very smart. He knows exactly who's going to take this team forward, going forward. Maybe it's 4 years. I don't know how that dynamic's going to play out based on our cap space, but I just see who he's brought in, the hope he has for our young guys, bringing in Duncan Keith so Darnell can just become the elite superstar that he is but needs to become, if you know what I mean. And I think that he's left room for Darnell. Do I want Darnell to go? Nope, not a chance. The guy's a monster. Love the guy.
So on our, we have, like, you can't see this, Chad, but on the side we've got like a chat, live chat, so I can see what people are saying when they're watching. And um, this ironically, Mike says, I disagree. Goaltending needs to improve. Maybe new a new coach would help. And then he said, same guy says, keep Nurse forever.
Yep. Well, do you want to get into that, or what? Do you want to get that down that rabbit hole?
Yeah, no, got a little segment that we like to call the oil blowout segment. And yeah, you can fire away now because I know you're itching to. So let her go.
Okay, so since 2014, Dustin Schwartz has started with the Oilers, and he's done absolutely nothing. He's a loser. I can't stand the guy. We need somebody better in that place. He's got Mikko Koskinen sitting in the goddamn goal crease in a butterfly position. When Mikko came to this league as a Hasek-style goaltender, he played hard, he played competitive, he played big. He was a monster. And all of a sudden, Schwartz has him on his goddamn knees underneath his crease, and I think that guy needs to be fired. Bye, Dustin. Later. Bye-bye. Mikko Koskinen is a monster. He's huge. If he was let to just play the game how he wants to play the game, he would be incredible. Mike Smith plays the game how he wants to. He's incredible. Dustin Schwartz is just not giving Mikko the right guidance he needs. So, bye, Dustin. Let Mike work with Mikko, and we'll have a great goaltender. We'll have a great goaltending tandem. That's just how I feel about that.
What do the two goalies have in common?
They're monsters.
Well, yeah,
They're huge.
yeah, that's part of it. But I mean, their style of play.
Yeah, they want to play. They want to win. He's got Mikko on his knees, sitting under his crease. Mikko is, when he came here from Finland, he was an aggressive goaltender. He played aggressive hockey, and that's why he made the NHL. And Dustin Schwartz has turned him into this little, butterfly in his crease. He just sits there on his knees, and that's what he's supposed to do. Play your position. Play positions. That's not Mikko's game. Never has been. He ruined that goaltender. So Dustin Schwartz, if you're listening, bye.
I got two counterpoints, and I'll go with them, and then I want to hear what your rebuttal is, because one is, people say a goalie coach can't turn a Pinto into a McLaren. So
They can.
That's the first one, and the second one is,
yep.
They all have their own goalie coaches and don't listen to the ones that teams assign them. What do you think of both of those?
Okay, so you're from Finland. You've just signed a big contract. You want to play in North America. You're going to do exactly as you're told. It's that simple. Okay? You want to make money. You have family at home. You're coming here from another country. You want to do well, and you do exactly as you're told. Our goaltender coach's responsibility is to put our goaltenders in the right place. A guy like Dwayne Rollison would not have Mikko on his knees under his crease. A guy like Dwayne Rollison or Grant Fuhr would have him playing net how he wants to play goal. What brought him to the NHL. Mikko has been held back by Schwartz. I cannot stand the fact that he's held back. And Mike Smith is the only person that has come in and really made Mikko compete. And when Mike Smith is playing well, Mikko plays well too. If you watch it, watch all the stats. When Mike Smith is playing well, Mikko plays well too, because Mikko gets back to his own game. And I think Mikko Koskinen is going to be a great goaltender. He just needs to just be left alone or be told by somebody, play your game, Mikko. Just play your game.
Start of last season, he had to play all the games because Smith was hurt, right? And he had a pretty good run. So, do you think confidence became an issue once Mike came back?
No, I think he did okay. He didn't do up to his standard. I guarantee you that. He's a competitor. Mikko is a competitor. And when Mike Smith came back, I think Mikko actually felt a bit of relief, and that's not a good thing. We don't want that from our goaltenders. We want Mikko to fight for that spot. When Smith came back and started taking on the load, Mikko was like, "Oh, thank God," right? Because he's not playing his style of game, and people have to start seeing that. He's not a butterfly under my crease kind of goaltender. Watch him when he played in Finland. Watch him when he played for Europe. He was never that goalie. He never started being that until he came to the Oilers.
So, if you're, let's make you the new Dustin Schwartz for hypothetical reasons right now. If you're coaching Mikko, and by the way, Chad's a former goalie that still might play a little bit here and there, but like me. But if you've got Mikko and Mike Smith, you want them, ultra aggressive, out, beyond the top of the crease, 2 feet outside the crease, challenging. See, the argument against that is they're not good enough skaters to play that way. My counter argument to that is one hard stride with those big guys, they should be able to cover 15 to 20 feet of room. You know what I mean? Like, I don't buy into that, but I'm not a goalie, but I just see they're big, strong, physical guys, and one hard push, they should be able to cover a lot of ground.
Yeah, so skating's one thing. I understand that. So back in the day when I was a goaltender, which was a long time ago, the biggest drill that we worked on was actually being able to get down and get back up as quickly as possible. What I see in today's goaltenders is they're down, even Price, you watch them. When they're down, they're sliding all over the place. They don't get back up again. So if Mikko was out like a Hextall or a Ranford kind of style play, and he got out there, every shooter would look at him if he was actually challenged, and they'd see nothing because he's a monster. Right. They would see nothing. So it's obviously going to have to be a pass every time. So Mikko can learn to read that. Okay? So he's out there. He's challenging. Shooter sees nothing. He knows for fact, because he's so big and he's so out there, it's going to be a pass. So defenseman's going to play a pass. Mikko's out challenging. And if Mikko learns how to get that proper stride to the right or left side, he will become the monster that we all desire. And I'm telling you right now, Mikko, if you're listening, just stop listening to Schwartz, because you were a million times better in Finland. I watched you. You were amazing. I was very happy when we got Koskinen, by the way.
And I kind of think if he's out challenging and all that, the talk about the glove hand, that kind of goes away. You're a brick wall. You're Bye-bye. A brick wall.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Yeah. There's no glove hand.
Right. It becomes irrelevant. Yes. Angles and being out. There's nothing left.
Yeah, so since Schwartz has been working with him on playing this butterfly in his crease crap, he's actually lost his ability to find his net, and that scares me. He used to be really good at finding his net. He knew exactly where he was, and he was positionally solid. He knew how to challenge. He was out there just like Dominic. I was really impressed with him. And since he's gone to this NHL new style of crap that they're making him play, he's lost his net. So that's a problem. That's something that I would correct immediately, is letting him find his net again. So he knows when he's challenging that you could shoot at my glove hand, even if it is weak, it's going wide or going high. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And what do you think of the whole Pinto into a Lamborghini like philosophy? Do you think he was a Lamborghini and we've turned him into a Pinto?
100. That's what Schwartz has been famous for. I hate to say it. He's been our goalie coach since 2014. He's done nothing for this team. He has ruined every goaltender we've had. I hate to say it. Talbot, all those guys, everybody we've had since 2014, he has ruined. Dustin Schwartz is not the goalie coach we need. If you watch every goalie that comes through here, he makes them do one style. It's the only style he knows, and he hopes that it works. So he's turned Mikko, who is a monster, from a Lamborghini into a Pinto, and that is just fact. He turned every goalie that has come to Edmonton, minus Mike Smith, because he can't control Mike Smith. So if Mikko was a little bit more like Mike Smith when it comes to listening to his goalie coach, we would be in a lot better position.
So you don't buy into these guys only listen to their goalie coaches they have in their summer and not the one on the team.
Mikko has no choice. He has a contract. He has to play for this team. If Schwartz is telling him to do this, then he's going to do that, even if it suffers him, and that's unfortunate because he's unfortunate.
So you think that
because he's not from?
Yeah, you think there's a lot of influence from Dustin Schwartz onto Dave Tippett that way?
Yes, 100%.
And I guess the other, like, if we're being critical of Schwartz, let's go all in on this. What do you think of other goalie coaches going to Schwartz then?
In what aspect?
Apparently, he's the goalie coach guru, so other goalie coaches go to him.
Guru in what facet? Because I follow Schwartz and he's nothing special.
Exactly, but I mean, so it's just a whole facade, you think?
Yes. I think he's created a really good name for himself in a really big hockey city, and I think that I don't like Schwartz. I think his style of coaching is horrifying. What he's done with Mikko proves it to me 100%. Well, he's ruined this goaltender.
Well, I mean, if you do go back, right, Dubnyk was under Schwartz, right? And Talbot. And Talbot had a great, Grant Fuhr-like season. And then couldn't stop a beach ball until he went on to Calgary. And Minnesota, and he's found his game again. He's a pretty good goalie.
When Talbot first came to Edmonton, he was under New York system. He was still under Lundqvist and all those guys and the greats. Right. And he came here and he stood on his head. And then the next year he got Schwartz to stick his nails into him, and then all of a sudden he's junk. Like, how does that happen overnight?
So if you're the Oilers brass, how do you keep excusing it?
This is my issue. So I don't know what in the hell is going on, and I hope that I think Holland is smart enough to realize that he has some real workhorses in his net, and they're just not getting what they need for guidance. I hope that he sees that. The Oilers brass, and the fact that we don't have the old boys club anymore is actually quite nice. I like this. I like that Holland can say, you know what, Dustin, bye. And I really hope that in the next few weeks we hear new goalie coach. And I don't care who it is, new goalie coach. Or no goalie coach. Mike Smith is the new goalie coach. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like this guy could survive a Chernobyl nuclear reactor explosion. I mean, it...
If the Oilers brass could tell me one good thing Dustin Schwartz has done for this club with any of their goaltenders since 2014, I will sit down and have a listen, because he's done nothing for any of our goaltenders from 2014. Dustin Schwartz needs to be fired.
Yeah.
Period.
They'll probably roll to Cam Talbot's season.
Yeah, but that wasn't Schwartz's season. That was New York season.
No, but they'll give it to him.
Yeah. That was Cam Talbot coming from New York. That had nothing to do with Schwartz. I'll tell you right now.
You know as well as I do, they'll give him that one.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate because he should never get that. He came from Lundqvist. That's who he came from.
Yeah.
So is Mike Smith the right guy to roll with a guy like Mikko? 100%. I hope Mike Smith sits down with Mikko and says, Mikko, stop listening to this loser and play your game. Play your game how you want to play it. Compete me for this spot. Let's go. Let's you and me. Let's
Yeah,
go.
see, my problem with our goaltending, honestly, is I think Mike Smith played fabulous against Winnipeg,
Me
and you
too.
got the most out of his potential there, and you still got beat.
But yeah, but his potential was fine. The issue with Winnipeg, people keep this is the common thing. As a goaltender, I understand this because you have to take the brunt of everything. But let's look at the reality of it. Edmonton played a junk 5-on-5. Edmonton played a junk back game. They had nothing in the back end. Like at the end of the day, we couldn't score a damn
Yeah,
goal. We couldn't close out any overtime.
right.
So you want to throw it on a goaltender? Sorry, that ain't going to happen for
Well,
me. You want to fix it? Fix the whole
yeah,
team.
I
And to say Carey Price won it for Montreal is bullshit too. Carey Price played on his head. I will give him that. He played a great playoffs for the Canadians, but they had a lot of gritty players that stepped up and really played great hockey.
yeah, but I'm still gonna. I said it before, and I'll say it again. Carey Price didn't carry them to the Stanley Cup. He drugged them there. Like he was. I mean, look at the guys at the end of the day. You know, you have Vasilevsky, you had Price. Before that, you had Fleury, and honestly, some of the best hockey I watched was that series between Minnesota and Vegas with Fleury and Talbot going head to head. There was some pretty great goaltending exhibitions that went on in that series, and you know Hallebuck, he he didn't allow a goal in those overtimes either. So I contributed a little bit to Winnipeg's depth. We didn't really get any power plays, but Hallebuck was a little bit better than Smith. Uh,
Sure. Then how come Tapa sure answered Price?
well, I mean, the go to answer, I guess, is having the ability to be 19 million over the cap. And hey, Matt,
No.
If Edmonton had that same luxury or used that luxury, because I guess you kind of have it. Could you imagine Nathan McKinnon, Seth Jones, and who's the other one? I did the math on it. Out of Boston, there, Brad Marchand. You know, showing up for the start of the playoffs for the Oilers. Because
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
good.
equivalent of what happened there with the Lightning.
Sure, and that's great and everything, but the problem is that Gary Bettman has set this up as perfect. I mean, who wants to play? If you have a choice, to play in Edmonton, Alberta, or Tampa Bay, Florida, where are you going to play?
You're asking the wrong person.
No, I'm asking a sane human being. Okay,
Oh,
you're
so
looking
I'm
at weather, you're
insane.
looking at privacy. Yes, you are
I'm just an
insane.
Albertan.
Okay,
That's a different. No,
everybody wants to play in Tampa. Everybody wants to play in the warm climate and
sure,
the privacy and the fun, and they still get paid the same
sure.
money, but
No,
they're living a
no
better life.
taxes. Yep.
So yeah, so coming to Edmonton, you have to want to play to win. You have to want to play in a hockey team that's going to be something great. So we have Connor McDavid, we have Leon Draisaitl, we have a great bloody hockey team. The fact that I get angry when people say, "Well, Duncan Keith's overplayed." Do you have any idea what it took to get Duncan Keith to come to bloody Edmonton? He can go anywhere he wants,
Mm.
anywhere he wants, and he chose Edmonton. He could have went anywhere. LA would have taken him. Anaheim would have taken him. Any of those teams would have taken him. Any one of them. With the nice weather and the privacy and all the same money, he could have went anywhere. He chose to come play with Edmonton. So what does that tell you? I'm excited about what he's going to bring to this team.
Yeah. I mean, Seattle really would have been pretty close to Kelowna too. I mean,
His
yeah,
home,
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah. I mean, if you get the chance to play with Connor and Leon and that, yeah, well, why wouldn't you? Um, you know,
So
go ahead.
so kudos to Holland for getting somebody of his caliber and his experience in the NHL to come here and give us a hand. And come and play for a team that really wants to win a cup, not just bought a cup.
Yeah. Uh, you know, what?
But but we still didn't answer the question. How did Tampa Bay solve Carey Price?
Well, by committee. I mean, they come at you in waves, right? I mean, they're a four-line deep team, and the list of injuries on Price, you know, after the season's over was pretty long and extensive. So maybe he wasn't the same Carey Price he was earlier on. I mean, the whole Stanley Cup playoffs is a grind, as we know. So, you know, I don't know. I think, you know, you're as if the Lightning are a deeper team, and I don't think that can be denied. So
Nope.
it's that war of attrition, and by the time you're in the Stanley Cup final, if you got anything left, a lot of times you're going to win it, because a lot of teams, by the time they get there, they're done already. I mean, they're barely hanging on. I mean,
Yep.
Price was walking wounded. Weber, I mean, Weber's career's probably over. So they weren't the same team that started the playoffs.
No, but so here we are sitting here as Oilers fans, and we're pissed off because Holland didn't get us. I don't know who, Marco, or some prestige marquee goaltender,
Right.
and that everybody's mad. Why didn't you go get the marquee goaltender? The marquee. We have two great goaltenders. It's not a goaltender that's going to get you through the Stanley Cup playoffs. A goaltender that shows up and plays, which absolutely Mike Smith played his ass off against Winnipeg. We just didn't have a team in front of him.
Yeah, no, I think he did as well as he could.
Yeah.
But I
He made stops. He made great stops. And also, you want to know what started to fire up Montreal is all of a sudden fans started coming back in the stands. Let's face facts. That was a big deal. When they started seeing fans, that was a whole different
yeah,
ballgame for
yeah, we
Montreal.
needed to get past the first round for that to be a possibility here.
Yeah. So they went from playing rec hockey to NHL hockey, and all of a sudden Montreal was on fire. And Price was in his glory, and they started feeling that energy again. And people don't understand. Like, yes, we'll get through all this, whatever's going on in the pandemic and all the crap, and everybody's going to go back to normal. But once these players start getting that energy again, the Oilers this year, I am so bloody excited for the lineup we have, the goaltending we have. Get rid of Dustin Schwartz because he's a loser, and all of a sudden get Stans back in the seats. I am really stoked about this team.
So I'm on a different path than you, and that's okay. I I think that one of the biggest concerns that I have is that you need to strengthen that spot, and maybe it is via a coaching change, but maybe it is a little bit of a talent problem. Mike Smith played really well last season, and my biggest thing with him is that he not last year but the year before, he would scare me when he would go out behind the net and take a long time to make that first pass. He didn't do that last season. I think I remember one or two occasions where he had a blunder with the puck, like, and for him, I mean, it used to be almost once a month. He cleaned that part of his game up. He didn't have that go on in the playoffs, and he was very very good. But I think we need a little bit more of a talent upgrade in net if we're going to win a Stanley Cup. Getting to
So then,
getting to the playoffs is one thing, but it's going on that long run, and I kind of feel like this team needs to, maybe not before October, before puck drop, because these guys have proven they can get us into the playoffs. But I think come trade deadline day, you need to have an upgrade there, because these guys you have to have like a really really outstanding team in front of them for them to be good enough to get you a cup, and I don't think that's realistic in Edmonton, Alberta. Maybe it is in Tampa because they can get away with things and they don't have a state tax and guys will take less money to play there and all that. But in Edmonton, I think you need that stud goalie to get that group through, and
well,
and
good luck, good luck to you.
well, yeah. I mean, it's gonna take good luck, because that, you know, Miko at 4.5 million right now is not an easy, it's not an easy fix there to move on from that and get something that's going to be better.
Yeah,
But
and if you look at it though, Miko at 4.5 million is not a huge cap hit. Miko at 4.5 million is where he should be. And if Miko could play his damn game instead of being under Dustin Schwartz's bullshit tutelage, he'd be fine.
Yeah, well,
he would be fine.
Smith.
Look at when Miko first came. When Miko first came, why did he get that contract?
When Chiarelli was on the way out.
No, that's not why.
Well, that's
No,
when
if
he
you
got
want,
it.
Miko
That's when
had
he
it.
got it. That's the timing.
Sure, but Miko was literally on his head, and then all of a sudden Schwartz got his greasy little fingers into Miko. Miko was like just came to the league and just played his game, and he was unbeatable. And then all of a sudden Schwartz got into him. I watched Miko go from a hard nosed, stop any puck, doesn't matter, I'm a monster, good luck to you, to butterfly under his damn crossbar. I'm like, what the hell happened to this goaltender? Like, what happened to him? And then they say, oh, his glove hand's an issue. It never used to be, because it never used to be an issue. Now it is because he's so stuck in his net, thanks to Schwartz, and on his knees 24/7, that he's given up all the net.
What's your biggest strength as a goalie?
Me?
Yeah.
My will to stop the
Bullshit.
puck.
It's your glove hand.
My will to stop the puck. And my glove
I'm just
hand.
talking straight out skill. Not your will to play.
Yeah. Fine. I had a good glove hand, but Miko maybe doesn't have a strong glove. He didn't need it.
I don't think, like, honestly, I don't think your glove hand has changed, really much at all. It's still there.
No.
And it's
Yeah.
just that muscle memory. I don't know if Miko ever had that, honestly. But like,
Because he never needed
yeah,
it.
if you're camped on your crease, then it becomes absolute necessity.
A problem.
Absolute
Yes.
necessity.
Yeah. I'm only 5'10". I needed to have a strong glove
You
hand.
needed strong everything just to be able to fucking play.
Yes.
Let's not sugarcoat this.
Yes. Miko doesn't need that. He just needs to play his game. He knew what he was strong at. You couldn't stop him if he played his positions. Now he's lost his net. So fix that problem.
Yeah.
And he's all of a sudden back to the stud that we signed him for.
Yeah.
So my advice, whoever's listening, Dustin Schwartz, bye-bye.
Yeah.
You're a loser. Time to move on.
Well, I mean, he survives everything. That guy's like a cockroach at Chernobyl. Like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It blows my mind.
Like
It blows my
in
mind.
7 years, there's been a lot of change in Edmonton, and that's one thing that's remained the same.
It blows my mind.
So on that
Like,
on that front, like I it's almost like Einstein's theory. It's like you start thinking, if we'll just not change that and everything else, we'll change everything else, but still not working, but we'll just leave that as it is. Like, no, come on.
Yep.
Even just for the sake of trying something different, because it hasn't worked.
Like literally, Sather threw us a bone. He threw us. Here's Cam Talbot.
Right.
Just here you go.
Right.
And then that year he came in and we went to the playoffs. We had a stellar year. It was a lot of fun. Then all of a sudden Talbot turned into a dud. How does that happen?
Yeah.
Let's look at common denominators here.
Yeah.
Koskinen comes to Edmonton. He was great. He was amazing. He stood on his head. He was all over the place. He stopped the puck no matter what it took. And then Schwartz got his hands on him. Now he's a dud.
And
look at the common denominator.
And honestly, what was the biggest problem with Cam Talbot, that's next season and the rest of his time at Edmonton? What was his biggest problem?
He was always on the ice.
Well, no. Like, specifically, what happened at
His position.
what happened at the start of every fucking game, almost?
Yeah, first goal, first shot.
What's happening to Miko? There's a pattern there.
Yes. And Cam used to be, Cam came here as a say there was like, here you go, my going away present. I'm going to bring you Cam Talbot. And he was a stud, like a stud. And then all of a sudden he just went for crap. And Miko. And every goaltender that comes to Edmonton, every single goaltender since 2014 that has come to Edmonton has become a dud. Why? One common denominator, Schwartz. Get rid of that guy. He's not what we need.
So,
Sorry.
So, just to revisit something else you said, you're fine with the $4.5 million to Miko. So then you must absolutely be ecstatic over Mike Smith for 2 years at 2.5.
Beyond ecstatic. Like, holy crap, that's a steal.
Right.
Yeah.
But to me, that makes Miko's contract look bad.
Yes and no. Miko has to fight for this now, but Miko needs to stop listening. Miko needs to learn that. Listen, Miko, you're here now. You're not fighting to get in the AHL. You don't have to follow anybody's bullshit. Stop listening to that loser. Play your game. Earn your contract.
Because to me,
That's what I would die for.
because to me now I'm seeing kind of a, your starters making almost half of what your backup is, right? Because it's not a 1A 1B right now until Koskinen can prove that he deserves half the net.
Yeah, but even Smith's been given nuggets about how he enjoys working with Miko, and I think that behind the scenes, Schwartz is getting the shaft, and Smith's going to be moving into that role. And I pray to God that happens.
You mean after his contract's over?
Yep.
That would.
I really, really do.
Yeah.
Because Mike Smith is going to make Miko play his old game, his aggressive, get the puck game. I know, I guarantee, because Schwartz hasn't changed Smith's game. That's why Tippett, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and we don't know. But what I see is Mike Tippett brings in Mike Smith. Mike Smith does not change his game. He is who he is. Schwartz can't tell him anything. Nothing. I guarantee it. Mike Smith looks at Schwartz and goes, go away. I don't need you. I don't need your shit. And Mike Smith plays Mike Smith's game. I guarantee it. And I think that he's starting to slowly be working with Miko and getting Miko to be back to being Miko.
I personally think Smith plays a similar game to Miko, but is just a little bit more athletic. He's deep in his net too. Like he isn't out all the time challenging and aggressive. A lot of times he's right on the end line, relying on reflexes to make saves.
Yes and no. So here's the thing. The only time I see Mike Smith deep in his crease is if our team has made bad mistakes. So he's going to be back in his crease because he can't read where it's going to go. That's when a goalie's in his crease, that's when they're supposed to be in their crease. When I can't read if it's going to be a shot, pass, or whatever, because my team is just not back checking, they're not doing things properly, I have to play in my net and hope to God my reflexes pay off.
He's aggressive when it comes to, there's a chip in behind the net or a hard shooter or something. He's back there to stop the puck and make that first pass. But when a guy's coming in on him, a lot of times he's deep in his net.
No, Mike Smith. Mike Smith, the only time you see him scored on is when he's deep in his net. Mike Smith, when he's playing on Mike Smith, like playing on fire, he's out 10 feet in front of his crease.
Yeah.
Right, that's the difference.
Ultra aggressive Billy Smith I can do without, but 2 feet outside the top of the crease, I'm perfectly fine with that. If a goalie's cutting angles and challenging and forcing shooters to take more time, because really if you're doing that, then you're buying your defense time to get back into play too.
Yeah, so if you watch when Mike Smith's having a really good game, he's playing his angles, he's outside of his crease, he's playing aggressive goaltending.
How much?
And Koskinen used to play that.
So, because I value your goalie's opinion, how many games realistically do you think Mike Smith can play?
I think he's good for 55 next season.
Okay, and that's probably somewhat accurate of what he's probably going to need to play.
Yeah,
50 games. So, I want to know what you think of this, but last season, my biggest fear, and into the playoffs, my biggest fear with him specifically at his age is that one hard push catches a rut and there goes his groin. Do you worry about that, or is that just me?
No, because the thing about Mike Smith that I love, and actually all these guys at the NHL level, is they focus so much on training and eating and proper health that these guys, like, everybody's worried that Duncan Keith's coming to Edmonton at whatever age he is. What is he, 36, 37, 38?
What is he? 38 going on 39, yeah.
Sure, but he's got the actual body of a 25-year-old. Like, these guys are in pivotal, like they're in tip-top health. So is injuries a little bit more prone? Yes, 100%. But they're in the best shape that they could be in. Mike Smith is a workhorse. His ethic is incredible. He's going to work his ass off. He's going to be in the best shape that he could possibly be in. And if he pulls the groin, I guess we have to deal with that.
So you don't worry about that more at his age than you would a 25-year-old?
Nope.
Really?
Yep.
Huh? Because
Because the other thing too is Mike's also learned how to play within himself. So he'll play a hard game and he'll make saves, but he's not going to do like stupid things, if that makes sense.
that was my biggest that was my biggest worry with him last year was what.
Yeah, but yet he proved otherwise.
Yeah, no, he was really healthy. He had one little
Yeah.
scare. I can't remember if it was in the playoffs or in the regular season where he kind of went down and it took a while to get up and whatever. But I think it was a collision or something, and it took a little bit, but pretty flawless season. But and do you think last season was harder, more taxing, on people than what a normal year would be like? Because Dashney wants to blow it off, and he's not here to defend himself, but that's okay. I'll attack him anyway. He would say, they weren't really practicing, that they would have the taxi squad do the practicing and that, but they were playing more games in a shortened amount of time than normal. And to me, a goalie works a certain way during practice and a different way during a game. And I was more leery of that groin injury, last year in that shortened season with more games in a shorter amount of time than a normal season.
Yeah, and I think Miko took a lot of the practice time. He really, really, really played a lot in the like he really practiced hard, and I know that came through the players as well. They really talked about his ethic in the practice and his ethic in wanting to be in the number one spot. So Mike wasn't as involved. I mean, he still practiced, but not like Miko. Miko played the brunt or did the brunt of the practicing with the team, and Mike did too. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't as aggressive in his practice.
Um, we don't have a. We're not going to stay on for too much longer, Chad. But we do another segment that we refer to as "What the Frack," and Dashney had some mystery thing that he wanted to talk about, but obviously he's not here tonight. So I'm just gonna ask you, and then I'll respond to what you say with my kind of answer. But
Okay, my answer is fire Dustin Schwartz.
so the question on Jeopardy tonight is, of all your NHL games that you've ever been to, what's the funniest moment that you can remember? What's the funniest thing that you ever remember at a game?
Yeah, so I went to an Oilers game. I got a friend of mine took me to the game. Had my son. He was 4 years old at the time. We were sitting right behind the Oilers bench. Uh, he had his son with him too, actually. And Pronger smashed this dude into the glass. They were playing Colorado. Smashed this guy into the glass so hard that my 4-year-old started crying. He was terrified, shitless terrified. So it took me about 10, 15 minutes to calm him down, but just the earth-shattering sound of Pronger smashing a guy into the glass took my kid to tears. That was hilarious. And the guy who took me to the game is sitting on the other side of this call right now. So,
Oh, if that's the game I'm thinking of, I think we got our asses kicked by the Avalanche, like seven
yep,
to one or 7-2, and that was in oh
yep,
06. And I
yep,
remember Ethan Morrow scoring in that game, and the
yeah,
fans, I think it was at Rexall, booing the goal,
yep,
booing the goal. You got the fucking Bronx cheer
yeah,
for scoring. If you would
yeah.
have told me then that team was going to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, I would have said you're fucking crazy.
I
That
know.
is the game, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh man,
That's totally the game.
yeah.
That was the funniest moment. My kid bawled his eyes out. Pronger I thought the glass was gonna land on her lap.
Well, for me, I've got to go back to a little bit more recent time. The funniest thing I've ever seen at a game was Oilers and Sharks, and there's a big collision in front of the net, and ends up kind of carrying on behind the net. And Patrick Maroon and Brent Burns are on the ice together, and
Yeah.
here I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna just fucking get at her here. Gloves are gonna drop, and we're gonna be in for like a real nice little tilly here. And Patrick Maroon kind of looks up at Burns and takes his glove and strokes his beard.
His beard. That was funny.
And I have a picture like on my phone that I took of the scoreboard at Rogers of that happening, because fuck, was that ever funny. That was the funniest. That was not only the funniest thing I've ever seen in Oilers, history, but that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in hockey. Period. It's not even it's not even close. And I mean, we used to go to junior B games, in Killam, and we we saw all kinds of stuff, but that was definitely the funniest thing I've ever seen in a rink, let alone like NHL or at all. It was insane. The crowd didn't know what to do with that. They almost wanted to stand up and give a standing ovation, for just a beer tug. But man, was it ever funny.
Well, and even Burns' reaction to it was funny. Like Burnsy was he took it with a grain of salt, and I love that about him.
It's funny you say that, because you're watching that go on and you're thinking, Jesus, Burns is gonna snap and lose it. And Burns just laughed too, like what do you do with that? It was
yeah, I know. It was good. Yeah. It was good. I agree.
Yeah. So, now that I'm almost in tears, I think that's about all I need to do tonight with you, Chad. We'll have you on. Have you on again when Dashty can be a part of this. But thanks for coming out. I have to think of a new segment maybe to have you on every once in a while. We used to do Run the Goalie with Oilers Live there, but I think he's got the trademark on that, so we'll have to think of a new fire.
Sounds good, brother.
Run the Goalie Coach segment maybe, but
yes, Run the Goalie Coach segment. Fire Dustin Schwartz segment.
Anyway, I will leave like I always say, and thanks for watching us. You can check us out Thursdays and Sundays at 9:00 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And like I always say, keep your sticks on the ice and keep reaching for the stars. Go Oilers, go.